Takeshita is really starting to cement himself as possibly the best wrestler in AEW right now, and honestly, I get why people online have been saying it for a while. For a long time I shrugged it off. I thought maybe it was just hype. The more I watch him, the more I realize it's not crazy at all. He's got this insane combination of technical precision, high-level performance, and in-ring storytelling that just makes everything feel meaningful. Every move he hits has a purpose. Every counter sequence, every reversal, it's all calculated and it tells a story within the match. What makes him so compelling is that he can wrestle anyone, big, small, veteran, or rookie, and adjust his style seamlessly. He doesn't just wrestle, he conducts the match, and you feel like every spot is building towards something bigger. Watching Takeshita work is the kind of thing that makes you stop and realize, yeah, this guy's on another level right now. Then you have Okada, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say he's the most dominant AEW superstar of all time. Like all time, bro. This guy comes in, he wins, he rarely loses, and somehow it never feels stale or frustrating. It's not easy to do. Normally, if a wrestler is booked to be nearly unbeatable, fans start grumbling, they start losing interest, or the stories feel predictable. But Okada is so damn good at what he does that it works. He keeps matches exciting, even though the outcome feels obvious. He has the ability to sell everything and make near falls feel like death-defying moments, and to draw you in emotionally, and when you already know he's probably going to walk out on top. The way he's booked is almost mythical at this point, and the fact that the fans aren't mad about this says a lot about his presence, his in-ring storytelling, and the respect he commands. He's not just a competitor, he's a standard bearer for excellence in AEW. Brody Kings is another case study in AEW talent growth. Watching him evolve has been fascinating. He's gone from being a solid hand to a major presence in the eyes of fans, and he's really built a following that feels genuinely invested in him. What's interesting is that the guys didn't hinge on one violent moment. It was gradual. People have been backing him since before the Abolish Ice t-shirts, and he's done nothing to lose their support. He's grown into his persona, mastered his ring psychology, and learned how to command attention every time he steps into the ropes. His matches feel big, and he carries himself with a mix of menace that makes him someone the fans want to see succeed. I started helping on the bandwagon myself. The guy's got talent, presence, and the kind of aura that can carry a division if AEW leans into him correctly. FTR and Cope and Christian facing off felt like one of those moments AEW has been slowly building towards, and when it finally happened, it really landed. FTR have become such a strong heel act that even when they're just standing and talking, you can feel that rebel and everyone else's attitude dripping off them. What's wild is that these guys were once beloved as pure wrestlers, like the workhorses of the division, but now they've leaned all the way into being hated. The cheap shots, the smart tone, the way they're quick to complain or blame someone else, it all just makes the crowd want to see them get punched in the face. Side note, one thing I started to appreciate more is these smaller AEW crowds. Dynamite this week had that tight, gritty feel that is more personal, more rowdy. You hear the crowd heckling. You hear the pops echoing off the walls. It almost feels like going back to old school ECW or early NXT, where the intimacy of the venue made the reaction stand out more. I think it gives these kinds of segments extra fire because the fans are basically right on top of the action, and you can feel them feeding into the energy. Now, I get it that it's because AEW attendance has gone down, but I like it either way. And man, that brawl, I really enjoyed it. It didn't feel like they pulled apart because the script says so type of fight. It felt like genuine chaos, with both teams swinging and the whole thing looking messy in the best way. That's how a wrestling fight should look, raw and a little unpunished. Like neither side cares about what it takes as long as they are beating the other down. Those are the moments that stick with me, because they feel less like a performance and more like an actual grudge exploding. Edge and Christian, or Cope and Christian, as they're rolling with now, have honestly been one of the best additions in AEW. Where they first came in, people were excited, sure, but now it feels like they've gone beyond nostalgia pop. They're not just names from the past showing up, they're actively making the product feel fresh again. Their presence elevates the tech division. Their promos carry weight, and every time they show up, it feels like something big is about to happen. AEW roster is stacked, but very few acts bring that, oh, this is a must-see aura, and they've got that. That's why this match is going to be something special. You got two of the best modern tag wrestlers in FTR going up against two legends who are proving they still got it. The history, the storytelling, the personalities, it's the perfect storm. Everything about this screams Big Five feel, and I honestly think it's going to cook on a different level once the bell rings. Moxley versus Garcia didn't really hit for you. It is because I don't love these types of out of nowhere matches. The wrestling itself was fine. Moxley brings his usual violent style, and Garcia is tough enough to hang with him. But without a real build, it just felt like something drawn in. Matches like that always leave me thinking, okay, but why? Instead of getting fully invested. The Willow Nightingale situation is also starting to drag. He's been teasing his first sin for what feels like forever, and AEW still hasn't pulled the trigger. Every time he talks, it's some half-measure stuff and shows flashes of change, but then nothing happens. At some point, you've got to either turn him or commit to keeping him heel, because the in-between game is getting old. Hook's return was another talking point. The crowd popped huge, and he came back looking sharp. But I don't know what he's supposed to be doing now. Is it going solo? Is it still aligned with the ops? It's one of those returns that get people excited in the moment. But the real test is going to be how they actually use him going forward. Right now, it feels wide open. What's going on with Megan Bayne is one of those things that makes me scratch my head. She looks like a star, she wrestles like a star, and the presentation when she first came out had that big deal aura. But now it feels like AEW doesn't really know what to do with her. She's got that insane potential, size, power, presence, and she's different from almost everyone else in the women's division. Instead of leaning into that and letting her run wild, they've kept her floating around in mid-card matches or tagging with people where she could be a killer singles act. AEW's women's division has been crying out for more variety in the top spots, and Megan could fill that role easily. It feels like they're wasting an opportunity by not pulling the trigger. Harley Cameron's situation is just as strange, but for different reasons. Not too long ago, she was one of the most over stars in the division. She had the crowd, she had the charisma, and people were genuinely buying into her as a fresh babyface. The problem is the way she's been booked since. Facing Toni Storm as a babyface is always going to be a weird dynamic, because Toni is so popular that almost anyone opposite her ends up getting swallowed by the act. Megan Bayne at least has the physical presence to hang in those situations. She can stand across from Toni and not look out of place, but Harley doesn't have that same advantage. For her, the booking hasn't helped keep the momentum she once had. Then there's Kris Statlander, and honestly, it's wild to me that she's never been AEW Women's Champion. She's been presented at that time like the backbone of the division. She's constantly in the mix. She's had great matches with just about everybody, and yet, when you look into her record, there's no official reign. It's almost like she's treated as a champion without getting the belt. That creates this weird effect when fans kind of assume she's already been there, but in reality, she hasn't crossed that line. At some point, AEW is going to have to either finally give her that run or risk her being remembered as someone who's always around the top, but never actually at the top. Fans love her energy, her positivity, and the way she connects with the crowd. Every time she comes out, you can hear the reaction, and she's a reliable babyface that people root for. But as much as I enjoy watching her, I don't see her as a top girl just yet. She's great in featured matches. She's great as someone who can challenge for the title and give the champ a strong defense. But she doesn't quite feel like the face of the division. Maybe the changes down the line. She's still young enough and good enough that she could grow into the role. But right now, she feels like a strong supporting player than the lead act. Hangman Adam Page has only just got rolling with this world title reign again, and it already feels like a night and day difference compared to the last one. His face reign was historic, sure, but it's always carried that pressure of him finally proving himself, and the storytelling sometimes overshadowed the actual matches. This time around, it feels like he's stepping into the role naturally, like the belt actually belongs to him. Maybe part of that is because he hasn't gone toe-to-toe with the mega fan favorites yet, and he isn't battling split crowd reactions, but honestly, I'm fine with it. I really want him to keep this run going. The vibes are right, and feels confident. He feels like a champion, and that's what the belt needs right now. Speaking of relevance, Don Callis deserves a ton of credit. This guy has taken the Don Callis family from feeling like just another evil manager with a stable gimmick into something that actually matters in AEW. He's a phenomenal leader in the sense that he makes every segment he's in feel significant. He knows how to talk, he knows how to give his guys shine, and even when he's being the most annoying villain on the show, it's entertaining. Now, yeah, the group has ballooned with members, and that naturally means most of them end up playing a role of goons or henchmen. But in wrestling, sometimes that's the job. You need bodies to protect the top guy or to make the family look like a force. As long as Callis is steering the ship, the act still has the heat. What really keeps me hooked though is the looming Kenny Omega connection. The Kenny vs. Don feud has been dragging in the background for what feels like forever. And I'll admit, at times it looked like it might never end. But here's the thing, I don't even mind. The tension that seizes the possible The tension that is the possibility of reunion, it keeps the whole storyline alive. Deep down, we all know AEW isn't done with Kenny and Don together. And whenever that reunion comes, it's going to be massive. Callis might be an amazing heel, but he and Kenny side by side always feel like a bigger deal than when they're apart. And let me say this. Anytime Kenny Omega's on TV, I'm happy as hell. No matter what storyline is in, no matter how messy or drawn out things might feel, he elevates the show. Kenny is one of those wrestlers that just makes wrestling feel special. And even when he's not the centerpiece, just his presence feels like a reminder of what AEW is at its best. And then we've got the situation with the Hair Syndicate and MJF. That breakup felt abrupt, almost too abrupt. 1 week they aligned and the next is like the whole thing is unraveled. It's hard not to think this might be a work. If it is then AEW is playing the long game, where MJF either manipulates his way back or gets revealed as a mastermind pulling strings. If it's not though, then it leaves way too many questions dangling. Fans are already buzzing with conspiracy theories, and honestly, that's not a bad thing for wrestling as long as the payoff is worth it. But if AEW just drops it with no explanation, feels like another case of wasted potential.